Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Indie Book Review. I am Quinn Buckland, and today I am reviewing Adam's Witness by J.C. Paulson. Adam's Witness is a mystery thriller romance novel, and yeah, I read it. Let's get into the review, shall we? So, let's get into the plot. Um, Basically, to start with, this bishop is killed, and the main character, Grace Rambling, finds him. She's understandably shaken, but manages to give a fairly decent account to Detective Sergeant Adam Davis. And from there, it's kind of this whole mystery as to who killed the bishop. Little ways through it into the book, Grace herself is attacked. So now there's a side plot going on at the same time, trying to figure out who attacked Grace and to find out if it is the same person who attacked the bishop. And all the while, there is a whole romantic plot going on between Grace and Adam. And, you got the whole separation due to the case going on because, they're both professionals. They both know that while there's a case going on, they can't very well be together because, there's a whole conflict of interest. So, and there's some questions on to whether or not they like each other. Grace wonders if Adam likes her. Adam wonders if Grace likes him. It's kind of a whole thing. Kind of fairly standard in the romance genre. Yeah. All in all, the plot is actually fairly decent. It kept me interested all the way through. And I don't really have any problem with what I read. So all in all, I'm going to give a plot a 5 out of 5. I genuinely enjoyed it. And now we get into characters. So we have the two main characters, Grace Rambling and Adam Davis. They are actually really good characters. They're really well thought out. They feel real. They actually feel like real people. In fact, the vast majority of the characters in this book feel like real people. They act and react like I would expect other people to react. There's not really much to say about that, other than the sake that, because they felt real, I got really connected to them. There's a point where one of the characters gets shot, and I'm going, no, 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 don't you do that. Don't you do this to me. And, yeah, it takes a lot to actually get a response out of me. It takes even more to get a vocal response out of me. And that's really good. That is really, really good. So, characters, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I really have nothing to say against the characterizations or the characters themselves. They act and react like real people. Then it's tough to find a book where at least one character, or at least where I can't find one character to go, yeah, okay, this character's a little bit of a caricature of what the author's trying to go for. This one, no, they actually felt like people. They have their own hopes and dreams. They have their own thoughts. And, sometimes they screw up, sometimes they get it right. Yeah, the characters are straight up 5 out of 5. And now the writing. And, the writing is very well done. It's very well written. Not really much I can say about that for the most part. It's clear, it's concise. She keeps a lot of the jargon down to a minimum while also at the same time keeping it fairly authentic, which I genuinely appreciated. Because once we get onto this next section, you'll actually understand why. But yeah, I'm going to give writing a 5 out of 5. Imagination and research. So, at the end of this book, the author straight up states that the beginning of this book is actually based on an actual event. I'm not going to spoil what that actual event is. You're going to have to read it yourself. But there's some actual authenticity to the event. The vast majority of the book itself is fictitious in every way, but there are some, fringes of truth to it. The author herself actually used to work as a news reporter. So, with the main character Grace being a journalist, you don't get much better research than actually having done it yourself. And I think that is absolutely incredible. I think that's really cool. And honestly, when they say write what you know, she definitely went on with the write what you know and did a damn good job of it. Character, imagination, research, 5 out of 5. And finally, we get to the ending. Just like I said in the last review, I am going to be doing things differently from now on. I am going to be doing the vague ending first, and then I will get into the spoilery bit afterward. And then anybody who wants to watch on can. If you don't care about spoilers or anything like that, you can continue to watch on, and yeah. Then after that, it's just my farewells and whatever. Yeah. So, the ending. They figure out who the killer is, they figure out his motive, and they nab him. You know, typical mystery stuff. And then they go through the whole court case, and then they go, well, not the whole court case, but they start the court case, and then they get into the whole wrapping up of the romance. For the most part, I really have absolutely no problem with how this book ended, like, in any way. And I'll be straight up. Mystery thrillers and romance are two genres that I do not particularly enjoy. I find mystery thrillers to be exceptionally predictable because the author is either too busy trying to look clever or you know, they're giving too much away. This book did neither of that. I mean, yeah, I was able to figure out who the killer was pretty early on, but it wasn't really the point of this book. The destination wasn't the point. It was the journey. It was getting there. And then the whole side plots too. There's all that going on. So nabbing the killer really wasn't that big of a plot point. Yeah, it was how she finished the book, but that's just kind of what it came down to. The romance part, same, like with romance, it's the same thing. I just find it really predictable, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of story points to romance that I genuinely despise in every way, and this book did pretty much none of them. Absolutely none of them. And I applaud that. I greatly applaud that. You know, even the whole will they, won't they was really cut down to a, yeah, they will. They just have to be apart because, you know, professionalism and conflict of interest. Makes perfect sense. Makes absolute perfect sense. Anyway, ending. I'm getting off track. Yeah, so they nab the guy. He ends up shooting one of the characters, and as I mentioned before, which got the, you know, vocal distress response. And, you know, they go through the whole court thing, and then they go through the wrapping up of the romance, and yeah. Actually, you know what? For this one, I'm really not going to do a spoiler ending, because that's really all there is to this ending. Like, it's a fairly formulaic ending, but that's kind of the ending that this book needed. It's kind of the ending this book deserved. And that's okay. I think it's because it didn't hit the standard notes that most other books that fit under the mystery thriller or romance genres hit that infuriate me. It didn't hit any of those. That when it got down to this, like, to the fairly normal ending, I actually really liked it. I really liked the ending because of that. Yeah. Like, you know where it's going to go right from page one. Because, you know, that's kind of how mystery thrillers and romances work, right? So, for this book, it is not the destination. It is very much the journey. And I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. Like, ending gets a 5 out of 5, which means that this book gets a perfect 10 out of 10. This book is incredible. And I don't say this very often, but I look forward to seeing these characters in other books. I will be continuing on with this series. It may not get video reviews, but I will be reading them, and I will be very likely enjoying them. I'm Quinn W. Buckland. Have a good one.